Hello everyone, this is Allegra recording live from room 114 with Tevis-Finn's room, and I am here to present Reaganomics, which is the name given to Ronald Reagan's economic policy. So let's get started. Here we have the campaign. Ronald Reagan became president in the year 1981 and served 2 terms as President of the United States. On March 30th, 1981, Ronald Reagan was shot in an assassination attempt and only had to spend 13 days in the hospital. So in the middle here, I want you guys to see that in 1980, Ronald Reagan competed with Jimmy Carter for the presidency. Jimmy Carter was a president before Reagan. And the election results were 50.8% voted for Reagan, 41% voted for Carter, and the rest voted for an independent candidate. So Reagan had about half of America on his side. So what's the big idea with Reaganomics? Well, Reagan won the campaign with his radical economic plan. He wanted to cut taxes, especially for the wealthy investors, increase defense spending, lower inflation, and slash government regulations and cutting other government spending. In theory, if the wealthy had less taxes, they would be more inclined to invest in companies. Those companies would expand and create jobs, therefore spreading the wealth, also known as the trickle-down effect. So make sure you fill in cut taxes and trickle-down effect. So here we just have a fun image, and I'm asking you guys, just think about how do you think America felt about Reagan's policy? Clearly the cartoon has half of Reagan looking like a devil and the other half looking like an angel. And there's a bunch of words spread out around there. So just look at this and get an idea of how people felt. Well, you may be wondering, how did Reaganomics play out? And I have the answer. With taxes cut, the government had less income. By the end of Reagan's reign, the national debt had tripled. It went from $712 billion to $2 trillion. That's a lot. Reagan cut government spending on certain programs, one example being Social Security, which aided the disabled and poor and left many Americans without the money they needed to live. So people on disability who couldn't work, who were in too much pain to work or just they couldn't work, were getting Social Security checks before Reagan. And then Reagan cut those checks and they didn't get the money anymore, and maybe the poor got poorer from that. On the right-hand side, I have an image of Ronald Reagan looking quite elegant. On the right, it says he added more to the national debt than all of his predecessors combined. And that's very true, because if you remember, you have to fill in the national debt went from $712 billion to $2 trillion. That's a really big number. Why Reaganomics didn't work? The national debt rose because there was not enough tax money to pay for government spending. Unfortunately, due to greed, the rich kept their money and did not invest as much as expected, which kind of ruined the whole point of Reaganomics. The trickle-down economics did not work nearly as well as it should have, and the wealth did not get spread like it could have. Here I have another image that kind of describes the massive debt problem left by Reagan. You see a giant footprint and a very small man there to fill it. Thank you all for listening to my presentation on Reaganomics, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I really enjoyed researching this topic because it was quite insane.